Hey everyone, it's GigaDB. So I'm back here again with another replay and deck profile, and this time it is something I've been brewing up and I'm excited to bring to everyone, and that is Naturia Sprite. Yes, that's right, Naturia pre-support in Master Duel. It doesn't have Naturia Mole Cricket or Camellia yet, but it still has some tools actually that work really well with Sprite. I'm going to show you what the deck can do. Alright, so let's jump right into it. So we're going to start off with Burial Goods here just to see if they have any Ash Blossom or whatnot. I'm going to search an extra copy Bamboo Shoot, definitely don't need that, but we're going to go for Sprite Starter here. Summon Sprite Blue searches a monster. We already have Jet in hand, so you can grab a red to get a monster negate up early. Next up, we're going to go into Gigantic Sprite. Gigantic Sprite's going to summon the other reason to play this deck, and that is Naturia Antjaw. I want to talk about this for a bit. This card is insane, and kind of the reason I had the idea for the deck. I was reading basically every single main deck level 2 monster in the game, because that's what I've been doing with my time recently, is just trying out various strategies with Sprite, because I think it's fun. And yeah, I read Naturia Antjaw, and I was like, what? This card is ridiculous. Okay, so it says, when your opponent special summons a monsters, except during the damage step, you can special summon one level 3 or lower Naturia monster from your deck. Now, I want everyone to pause for a second and look for something that's maybe missing from this card effect. That's right, there's no once per turn on this effect. So you can trigger this as many times per turn, kind of acting like a max C. And it's level 2, so you can search it out with Gigantic Sprite. So even if you're not doing this Naturia Bamboo Shoot lock, you can still put up a formidable board just by summoning Antjaw. And there's a lot you can do with it. So in addition to Antjaw being an incredible level 2, let's talk about Bamboo Shoot for a second. Bamboo Shoot says, while you control this face-up card that was tribute summoned by tributing a Naturia monster, your opponent cannot activate spell/trap cards. That's right, they cannot activate any spell or trap cards. Now, you have to be careful, and you'll see in this replay too, that doesn't completely lock them out of spell traps, but it does for most decks. In this particular duel, it doesn't actually. In a lot of duels, this can just be an instant win condition, if you can get it out. Before, there was no really consistent way to do this on turn 1, but yeah, all you need to do this is just Sprite Starter, because we basically can let us special summon any level 2 Naturia monster from deck without committing to our normal summon, so pretty cool, if you ask me. Alrighty, so let's continue. Next, we're going to link off into Elf, an incredibly broken card, as I'm sure anyone playing Master Duel feeling right about now. We're going to bring back Antjaw under Link Point, so it's protected from targeting. Now, you might say, okay, well, you know, they can just go enter battle phase and attack over Antjaw. But what we do is immediately shotgun the Elf effect to special summon Blue. Blue add Pixies, so we do have to play Pixies for this. Pixies lets you protect any level, rank, or link 2 monster in battle, so it makes them win a battle, including Naturia Antjaw, so they can't just walk over it. So I think this is a cool little lock that you can do. Now, in this duel, things kind of go awry. This is the cleanest representation, I think, of what you can do with Naturia Sprite, but I did heavily misplay this, and it ends up costing me. You'll see in a second. Now, my opponent did kind of have a pretty stacked hand. They're playing Virtual World, and you can see they're able to activate the gate because it's an effect of the card. They're not like activating a spell card, so it still works under Bamboo Shoot. Now, what I should have done is the first Virtual World effect that they used targeting one of their Virtual Worlds, I should have just smashed it to banish it, and I would have been fine. And now a big thing you might have noticed also, and this is a weakness of Antjaw, even though it is an insane card in general. I wasn't able to special summon when they summoned the first Virtual World because it actually missed timing. So this is a when you can effect. So if something else happens when a monster is special summoned, then it will miss timing. So because the Virtual Worlds like special summon a monster and then do an effect, it will miss timing. So I wasn't able to do it. But when they synchro summon, I was able to use Antjaw's effect here and bring out another reason to play Naturia Sprite. Naturia Sunflower is a level 2 and the monster negate. You'd have to tribute another Naturia monster, but Antjaw makes that pretty easy to do. So they're trying to pop my Elf, my Sunflower to negate and destroy it, but they have more follow-up. Unfortunately, well, they have to draw a card too. So here I activate Sprite Starter to bring out Sprite Red, so I have further interruption. Now, the value I was going to get off of Antjaw was kind of limited there, which is why I didn't want to keep Antjaw around as much. I'm only playing the one Sunflower. I could summon another Antjaw just to have board presence, I guess. I could have summoned Naturia Rosewhip just in case as well. I am playing Rosewhip, but I kind of felt, because I already have Bamboo Shoot, as long as I protect the Bamboo Shoot, I should be fine, but in hindsight, maybe I should have kept it around, I don't know. The best play is definitely just to shotgun the Smashers. So, I'm trying to just stop them from being able to remove Bamboo Shoot from the board, but they just have so much gas. And that's kind of the weakness of Bamboo Shoot. Obviously, it doesn't stop monster effects, so if your opponent's playing a monster-heavy strategy, then it probably won't go too well. I will say, though, as my opponent is continuously comboing on me, Bamboo Shoot's actually surprisingly good in control/stun matchups. Especially with cards like Smashers. If you can let Smashers get rid of a Floodgate for you, and then you can go into Bamboo Shoot, you can just like shut off their back row, and they just can't do anything. And it's generally pretty easy to protect Bamboo Shoot at that point. So yeah, eventually they do break through. I just threw enough things at me. And then they can go into the Adventure Engine from here. I'm like, okay, I think I just lose here. I lost everything. So I just scooped at that point, but obviously a very winnable duel. I just wanted to show you guys a good example of the deck, and I was trying for a while. I could not get the Bamboo Shoot combo again for a while. I was winning just off of Antjaw's effect plenty of times, but I couldn't get a hand where that didn't require my normal summon. Alrighty, so here's the list, and as always, we're gonna go through the card by card, some choices, maybe some improvements, etc. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, so we're on 2 Naturia Antjaw, so you might say, Giga, wait a second, you said this card was completely busted, why aren't you on 3? Well, maybe I do want to go back to 3, I'm not sure. I was playing 3, but I really just didn't like this card clogging my hand, because it sucks to draw it. You just really want to summon it off of Gigantic more than you do want to open it. It's not bad to open by any means, because you can just kind of leave it up as an interruption. It's not particularly great to draw in multiples, so I'm trying out 2. Maybe you want to change that. I'm on 1 Naturia Sunflower. It's a monster negate by tributing any Naturia monster. Any extra interruption we can get off of Antjaw is going to be great, because we can just flood the board with him. I'm on 1 Blackwing Gust the Backblast, so this is just a free level 2 special summon if you control no cards. I like this when I was playing Blackwing Sprite, trying that deck out. I might do a profile on that too, I'm not sure. I do like it a lot, but it's maybe a little too gimmicky and memey for its own deck. I think this deck actually has potential, but yeah, let me guys know what you want. If you want its own video, maybe I'll do that. We're on triple Maxi. This is mandatory to play at all times, just because this card is stupid broken. Please, Konami, ban this card from Astral, I'm begging you. We're on 3 Sprite Blue. It's pretty standard for Sprite lists. This is the best Sprite. You can search out any Sprite monster when special summoned, really good. We're on 3 Sprite Jet, also pretty standard for Sprite lists. This adds any Sprite spell trap when it's special summoned, and can summon itself for free if there's a level 2 on board, like any Sprite can. We're on 1 Sprite Pixie. This is mandatory for this deck because you want to protect your Antjaw, and as discussed earlier, this helps you protect a monster in battle. We're on 2 Sprite Red. You could argue for 1. I do kind of like it at 2, just to have extra 2 bodies that are special summonable and have utility. This is a monster negate as long as you tribute any level rank link 2 monster, and it can destroy the card that it negates if you tributed a rank or link 2. We're on 1 Sprite Carrot. This is the same thing as Sprite Red, except it only works on spell traps. We're on 1 Naturia Rosewhip to summon off of Naturia Antjaw. It limits your opponent to only activating 1 spell trap card per turn, which is a great effect in general, and can really shut down certain decks, depending on what you're playing against. Against other decks, though, this doesn't really accomplish a whole lot, so I want to keep that in mind. We're on 3 Ash Blossom, part of the Master Duel tax because of Max C. We're on 2 Naturia Bamboo Shoot. I was playing 3 just to try to max drawing Naturia Bamboo Shoot, but honestly, I find that I usually have access to Bamboo Shoot, but I don't have access to a free special summon, so maybe you want to adjust the ratios a little bit to do that a little bit more. Roman Harpy Feather Duster, I do think we might struggle a little bit against back row sometimes, so just in case. That's in here as well. Run 1 Instant Fusion. We're playing the Alvain for a level 2. It's free special summon. As mentioned earlier, we really like the free special summons because it helps us do our Bamboo Shoot lock, so really want to be on more of those if we can. We're on triple Foolish Burial Goods. I'm not sure about playing the triple Foolish Burial Goods. I mean, I like it because it helps you with your Bamboo Shoot combo, and if you can't do it, then you can just search Antjaw, but searching Antjaw is a lot less impactful. So maybe I'll want to cut this to like a 2 Foolish Burial Goods and 1 Sacred Tree. I'm not sure yet, but that's definitely something to consider. We're on double Dark Ruler no more. I think this card's pretty good. This format's good against Sprite. Keep in mind, it's not that good against Runic Sprite, but I think this deck has a decent matchup against Runic Sprite because of Rose Whip and Bamboo Shoot anyway, so definitely the Dark Ruler no more helps out a bit against other Sprite variants. Our 1 Pot of Prosperity, we don't need that many extra deck slots, to be honest, so you can banish 6, and we want to find the Bamboo Shoot lock if we can turn 1. We're on 1 Ready Fusion, for that Alvain, just an extra copy of Instant Fusion, essentially. We're on double Called by the Grave, part of the Master Duel tax, as I'm sure you're all aware of by now. We are on double Sprite Starter. It's semi-limited, otherwise we would play more, just because Sprite Starter plus Access Bamboo Shoot is the Bamboo Shoot lock. Definitely want to see Sprite Starter as much as possible. We're on 1 Sprite Smashers. This deck definitely can struggle with removing cards, so definitely a good addition, especially nice to out floodgates with it, so definitely enjoy that. 1 Evenly Matched, just to help out against back row decks or help break boards. Just couldn't find space for more. It's kind of debating between Dark Ruler, Evenly Matched, etc. I'm just playing 1 for now, but maybe I could put in more. Run double Naturia Sacred Tree, so as mentioned, this is our target for Foolish Burial Goods. If it's into the graveyard, you can add any Naturia card from deck to hand, and this is through any circumstance, which is pretty crazy. It's just that there aren't a lot of good Naturia cards to search with it. That's what kind of keeps it from being even crazier. As mentioned, usually we're using this to grab Bamboo Shoot or Antjaw. Let's talk about the extra deck. I do think there could be a bit more messing around with the extra deck. I'm not super happy with it right now. Definitely want to do some more testing. Definitely want to keep the 1 Alvain as mentioned for our level 2 extender. Okay, so Djinn Buster. The thing is with this deck is that since you're usually going to be using Elf to summon back Antjaw, you're not going to have the material for Djinn Buster a lot of the time, I was finding. So only if you're like really popping off would you even summon Djinn Buster. So I'm not sure if it's worth including entirely. I do like the Sky Cavalry just to have a monster that's indestructible in battle to make Zeus. So that would probably stay in. Onibimaru I didn't make much at all on ladder, but in theory it should help with removal as needed. 1 Gigantic Sprite, you could argue 2, but I didn't really find myself needing the second one very much. It's not like there's a target that we would really want to summon late game from deck. It's more of just making a 3200 Gigantic Sprite, I suppose, would be the only reason to play it. Standard for the Zeus package, pretty standard. Zeus is crazy, really helps this deck out going second. We're on 1 IP Masquerena, pretty standard for any Sprite list, although I've, again, similar situation to Djinn Buster. I'm finding since we want to keep the Antjaw on board, don't usually have the material to make IP. Like, I find it's generally better to like have Antjaw and Sprite Red, or like Red and Carrot if you can summon both of those and just keep them on the board rather than go into IP. But if anything, I would rather keep IP over Djinn Buster just because IP is a bit more generic. We're on 1 Barricade Borg blocker. I think this is a necessary inclusion just because if we draw the Naturia Sacred Tree and really want the search, we have a way to do so. Run 1 Dark. I've never summoned this really, but it could come up. It's just a generically good link too. On double Sprite Elf, maybe considering cutting something for the third. This card's just crazy. I'm on the 1 Nightmare Unicorn for the IP, as well as just generic removal. I'm on 1 Goddess. I never made this, but it outs unaffected monsters. Alright, so let's talk about ultra rares. Can we cut some of them if you want to try this deck out, but are a little bit wary of UR points? Obviously, in the main deck, hand traps are technically not required for the engine, but hopefully everyone watching has the Master Duel tax on lock, which is the triple Maxi, triple Ash, and double Called by the Grave. But if you don't have these, you can still play the deck 100%. They're just generically good staple cards. And the same goes for Harpy's Feather Duster, Instant Fusion, Dark Ruler No More, Ready Fusion. These cards are not required for the deck by no means. In fact, a very easy replacement for the Instant and Ready Fusion is just playing more copies of this Blackwing card or any level 2 free special summon. Pick your favorite. I'm not sure which one I like the best. Alright, so what are we left with in the main deck? So at that point, we're only really left with Sprite Blue and Sprite Starter. That's really only 5 main deck Ultras. That's not too bad. You can get away with fewer copies, obviously, but Sprite Starter is very important for the Bamboo Lock if you want to play it like that. Blue, you can get away with 2 copies probably, but 3 is really good. This card is cracked, so I want to play as many as we can. Alright, what about extra deck Ultras? Well, similar to the main deck, there's a few staples in here like Access Code, Goddess, Nightmare Unicorn, and IP. IP, I would say, is more important to the Sprite strategy in general. It's not integral to this particular variant. Same goes for Zeus. This card is not required, so you could take out the Zeus package if you wanted to, but it's really, really powerful in general. So that leaves us with just 3 Ultras in the extra deck, Gigantic Sprite and 2 copies of Sprite Elf. Like I said, I probably would want to bump up to 3 Sprite Elves if I only have 2 myself right now, but you can definitely get away with 2. I don't think the third one is coming up that often, to be fair. All right, so that's the deck. Final thoughts about it. I think it's pretty good, actually, surprisingly, especially considering how garbage Naturia is as an archetype on its own. It strangely plays extremely well with Sprite in a way that bolsters the archetype to new heights. Now, is this a Sprite variant that would be as good as maybe like Runic Sprite or Live Twin Sprite? Almost certainly not. I think you'll find it's a surprisingly competent Sprite strategy, and it's a nice change of pace. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'm working on more Sprite videos at the moment. I'm not sure what order I'll be doing. Definitely going to be doing a video on Agent Sprite, so you can be on the lookout for that. I've built literally like 30 Sprite decks on Edo Pro at this point. A lot of them are just bad meme ones that are not good, but there are some gems in there, I think. I'll try to make videos on ones that I think perform a little bit better than expected. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.